Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk, straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Know-It-Alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. Ready to go. Let's go. Hey, listen, if you're new to the show and you love football like we do and all our Know-It-Alls out there, why don't you head over to YouTube or Facebook, search us up Football on the Know Show on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, also that notification bell to let you guys know when we go live, and also on Facebook, become a member, become a Know-It-All. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget also to get your tickets now. The Albany Empire will be back home on June 26th, 2 p.m. kickoff. Make sure you get your tickets at albanyempirenal.com, or you could call the box office here locally. So let's get into it, Joe. We're excited to see the Empire come back. That'd be nice. They've got a little bit of losing streak going on right now, but hopefully they can get things right and get things going again.
Shit happens.
It does, especially in the Arena League with the way they have to do the Ironman now. I mean, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
They actually had to they put their backup quarterback in the last game. Castronova ended up getting his bell rung a little bit, and he came out for a little bit, and then the backup was in there. But when he started throwing a little too many turnovers, then they put Castronova back in there, got him back in the game, but it was a little too late. But that's the way it goes. That's arena football, and we love it out here. So let's go Empire. All right, so Joe, there's some headlines coming out. Not a whole lot. Again, everybody's talking about now teams that didn't start their training camps last week started up this week. So all the remainder, everybody has gotten into it now. And you're hearing some headlines from that, but a lot of it's all this guy's looking pretty good, this guy's not looking so good. But some of the news, I think it came out today, it was about Minkah Fitzpatrick contract. Now he's the highest paid safety now. What's your take on that? And what do you think? I know a lot of people think their opinions about the safety position, who's probably the best. Should he be the highest paid and things? But what's your opinion on that?
Honestly, it's the same as any other contract for any other position. There's always going to be the next man up. There's always going to be the guy searching for the highest contract, no matter what the position is or what they're capable of. So they're always going to be striving for the highest dollar. I mean, that seems to be the trend going on, regardless if you're a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, D lineman, anything. So that trend is going to continue until. Maybe there's some changes made with the cap, or there's some changes made with what you're allowed to pay. You know what I mean? So till there's some parameters where it's going to stipend those high escalating contracts, we're going to continue to see the next man up mentality in terms of getting big deals done. Right.
And I agree with you the same way, too. I mean, it happens, and I hate when it happens to when it's trying to be when you want to decide whether you're going to have your quarterback or not, whether like, well, it's due now, and this is what the baseline is, so now he's got to get this much. I don't really agree with it there, but when you get to these other different positions here, I think it's a little they're a little tighter. I don't think there's like a difference in the way the players play. So it isn't a greater jump from one to another. But I do think that Minkah Fitzpatrick was one of the best safeties last year, and a big part of that Pittsburgh defense since he came. I mean, he's been all over the place. He likes to play that slot corner too as well, and he was a ball hawk all season long, and he's been a big addition to that team since leaving the Miami Dolphins. So I think he's well deserved to be get paid, like you said, next man up. If he's there, the contract's there. Why not? I don't have a big deal with it. Like some of these contracts, I do. I get an issue with it. But this one's not something I really argue about.
Is about that trade. When the Steelers traded for Minkah from the Dolphins, that's another bargain. They didn't give up a lot for Minkah, and he was still in his. Actually, he was in the beginning part of his prime. He was only like about 24 years old, so still young, still deserving of the contract. One of the best safeties in the league, and he's making plays left and right. So in order to you got to hold on to a guy like that. They lock him up, and the negotiations for this contract that they finally agreed to now has been going on for the last 2 seasons. They've been trying to hammer out a deal with Minkah and just couldn't, because whether the Big Ben deal, was stifling that whole negotiation going on, and they still had to somewhat pay guys like Juju at the time and everything. So I think it was delayed a couple of years because they had to wait for those contracts to kind of go away before they can go ahead and give him that big deal. But now he has it, deserving of it, and the Steelers continue to grow. They continue to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, not a whole lot of news going on. But, again, in the news right now about Mekhi Becton, we've heard the situations with them and the Jets, again, too, that possibly they were thinking about doing something about him with the way he hasn't really, with the weight gain. It seems like his heart isn't really into the game as much, kind of just, fizzing around, that they might want to try and just get rid of him and unload him, maybe a trade and stuff. And so now he's been able to face reporters, and he said that he's comfortable with his weight right now, and he's still eager to get out there and hush all the critics, though, despite of what way he looks. So it's almost like people looking at him like the way that James Harden is like, James Harden been sitting out there and getting that weight. Is he really into it or not? You don't care, but we'll see what's happening with that. I mean, you could say one thing, but really, it really shows on the field, though.
I mean, the biggest thing for him is that he's wearing that shirt. He walked in with that shirt and everything, saying injury prone ? Overweight ? All these different terms. And the thing is, though, is that T-shirt that he's wearing is somewhat true. It begs the question, like, are you injury prone? Because ever since you've been in the league, you haven't been able to stay on the football field. What gives? Are you going to be able to stay healthy this upcoming season? Are you going to be able to really contribute all the way through till the end? We'll have to wait and see all that. Absolutely.
So, there's more to come with all that, Joe. I mean, the Daniel Snyder thing now, too, where the Congress had asked them to come to the hearing, stuff like that. He blows off the hearing. So more stuff with the Commanders here, seeing the issues along with the land that they bought. So that got shut down, too, as well, for them to try and get that going. And we've also heard about other teams, again, that possibly would be up for sale in the near future. We've already covered the Panthers and some others now, but there's been other murmurs now, some other teams possibly up there that's going to be for sale pretty soon.
Yeah,
like the Chargers, I think it was, right?
Yeah, like you look at that. You even look at that Panther situation. They're in turmoil right now. Just like we already talked about Washington. But now the Panthers are kind of on the hook. They already filed for Chapter 11. They filed for Chapter 11 and now they're basically going. They claimed bankruptcy before they were trying to build a new team facility. So there's issues there. They might be forced to sell the team, as it seems to be like they're having financial trouble. And then you look at like the Chargers. Recently, we've learned that Spanos, the owner of the Chargers, he's in hot water now because he had this whole like chauvinistic type of macho man type of mentality against females in the workplace and saying, oh, this is a man's job and this, that, and the other thing. And now all that heat is being dumped back on him. And now it looks like the NFL is going to even start to look into that situation and say, hey, this is not a good look for the NFL because you're representing us as well and all these other teams. So now that's going to be an interesting – there's a lawsuit that's going to take place, another one. Yep, I know. It's kind of getting crowded in the courtroom right now. But now it looks like they're going to be – Spanos is going to be going to court all about that situation. Yeah. And depending on how that goes, he might be forced to sell the team. So the Chargers might be due. And then we're hearing that in a year or two that possibly Seattle Seahawks are going to be looking to sell their franchise. So – at a time where it does not happen that often, it is very, very rare for an NFL franchise to become available for sale. Right. And in one offseason or one like kind of midway point of the year, we're hearing that there's a possibility of 4, maybe 5 franchises that could be on the market in the next year or so.
Yeah, absolutely,
Craziness.
absolutely. So I mean, it could be interesting. You might see a different look of the whole ownership altogether. We'll see. But right now, with the trending of how we just saw the Walmart heirs end up taking the Broncos here, could be pretty interesting. And now, if you think about the way that family now has its footprint on sports right now, we just saw Stan Kroenke here. And the Rams win the Super Bowl this year. The Colorado Avalanche now are in the Stanley Cup final. If they can get the championship now, boom, there's another championship now. Now the only other thing left out of major sports, we'd have to try and see those Denver Nuggets to try and push for an NBA championship. But I think
They're
that's
right
a little,
there.
well, it might be a little bit further behind, because I know we got the championship this year already going on between the Warriors and the Celtics. But imagine that if they could have pulled off the trifecta, and again, that family looking at that, I mean, that's pretty amazing stuff. But you know what's also amazing stuff, everybody? That we just picked up a new sponsor, and that's SeatGeek. Everybody, Joe, why don't you tell everybody about SeatGeek?
Yeah, SeatGeek.com. That's where, if you need tickets, that's the place to go. Listen, and the craziest thing about them being our sponsor is they have such a sweet deal. Listen, it's your only source to buy tickets, to your favorite band, sports team, concert, whatever venue that you want to go see. Right now, you can get $20. It's not 20%. It's $20 off a $50 or more purchase. So just enter the promo code GOZ, G-O-Z. You enter that promo code, you're going to get $20 off a $50 or more purchase. SeatGeek.com. Go there. Search for whatever you want to search for tickets. Enter the promo code GOZ, G-O-Z. Get your $20 off and have a great time. Wherever you go see, have a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking up Giants tickets, and they have the sweet deals, and then on top of it, I get to save $20. Why not?
Yeah,
That'll get me 2 beers, maybe.
And this is unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
You usually don't get $20 off. It's usually like, oh, we'll give you 30% off. We'll give you 10% off.
Mm-hmm.
No. Not SeatGeek.com.
Especially if you find something like a $50 ticket to a concert or something like that. Then we
then
get
boom,
$20
you get
back. It's like half off.
Yeah,
I love it.
You only paid
Nonstop.
$30.
I love it. All right, so there were some headlines. Let us know in the comments if you guys have anything you guys want to bring up at all with some of the news that's coming out about your team too. You're hearing.
Oh boy! Hey Jim.
What's up?
Jim? We have one of our know-it-alls that just chimed in.
Oh, who is it?
Paul
it's
Matty.
Paul Matty's in the house. Paul Matty's in the house. Boom.
What's going on,
Coach,
Paul?
what's up, brother? What's up from Playa Linda Beach, Florida? Hello, it's a pleasure to have you here tonight. We're doing pretty good. How's it over there in Playa Linda Beach? I heard it's in Florida's getting pretty cooking right now. My aunt's down there in Fort Myers. It's above 90 or something. It's really cooking. Can't wait to come up here for the summer. How about that? So let us know. We're going to be talking about NFC South's biggest questions here, Paul. Let us know. That's your division down there, at least with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tell us your thoughts on some of these guys here. But let's get rocking and rolling right into it, Joe.
All right, let's do it.
All right, first we'll cover the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
biggest
yeah.
question here we have for the Atlanta Falcons. He says it's all good in Florida there, Paul Matty.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't it be? Except for when it's hurricane season, right? But besides that, everything's great down in Florida. We got to get down there pretty soon. Here we go. Our biggest question for the Atlanta Falcons is, can the Falcons be an above 500 team? We just summed it up with that because last year, surprisingly enough, I mean, they had 7 wins for a team that really didn't really look like they were, couldn't really run the ball at all. They were ranked 30th overall in the rush, even though they had Mike Davis there. You and I thought that maybe Mike Davis was going to be able to move something together. Lo and behold, Cordarrelle Patterson becomes a big, major role of that offense. And that was surprising. But even though he was in the backfield and stuff, not really chunking up a whole lot of yards there. Offensive line struggling a little bit. Matt Ryan taking the pressure. Really lack of weapons, though, too. We didn't have Calvin Ridley the whole season because of his issues, with the gambling and also taking mental time off. So that's when you got to see, though, like a tight end like Kyle Pitts jump through and make himself known.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts, we kind of knew that he was going to be a difference maker for Atlanta, but we just didn't know how they were going to use him. Because of his stature, because that he's extremely athletic for a guy that plays tight end. he could also be pushed out wide and be just a massive wide receiver. So they used him extremely well. They moved him around the football field, and he really kind of helped that offense. But there was nobody else around him. Like Jim was just, alluding to, the lack of receivers. I mean, yeah, okay, they had Russell Gage, but Russell Gage is kind of like, he's like a fourth-string receiver on the team that's starting. Not a real difference maker. So they struggled with lack of weapons. Their offensive line was beat up throughout the year. And then defensively, they had holes throughout that defense. So you look at what they've done via the draft and free agency, and now you're looking at a team that has not only filled holes that were much needed, and yes, of course, let's just say the elephant in the room, no more Matt Ryan.
That's probably the biggest change, right?
New quarterback with Marcus Mariota, who is familiar with Arthur Smith, now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. So back in Tennessee was the OC.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, and I understand that, too, the familiarity with the scheme. Arthur Smith, he was there together. That's why he probably brought him in. You've heard a lot of positive stuff, even when Marcus Mariota is with your Vegas Raiders. And a lot of people were even pushing, because there are still those Derek Carr haters. No matter what he does, there are people still pushing for Mariota to get in there.
Right.
So for me, again, because I haven't seen a whole lot of him, especially being out there on the West Coast and being that backup in that backup role, and just going in on kind of gadget plays here and there, is he that guy that might have been able to limit those turnovers that he had in the past, even though he was still in this offense? And last time we saw this offense, it was Matt Ryan in that kind of air type of offense. What are we going to kind of see in this whole thing?
You're going to see the same offense as last year, but now there's going to be some new wrinkles in that offense because obviously Mariota is way more mobile than Matt Ryan. So you might see a lot more play-action plays. You might see him rolling out and finding Kyle Pitts coming across the middle of the football field. And now he has more weapons to throw to too. And that's always a thing for the offenses. It's at every level has to be good, right? You can't have a poor offensive line and expect to do great. You can't have a poor quarterback and a great offensive line. It's not going to make much of a difference. But now that they've rekindled with adding talent in the receiving core, whether it be a rookie Drake London or a couple of the other guys that they brought in from free agency. It
Brian
looks
Edwards.
like they've definitely filled those holes and now can make a better, they can make a better plan of attack against defenses. Do I think that they're going to come in and just kind of take the league by storm? No, because whenever you have a lot of changes on your roster, it takes time to create that chemistry, to mend together, to get all on the same page. So, yeah, there's going to be some hiccups along the way, but I think that the Atlanta Falcons, offensively and defensively, have gotten much better, and I kind of expect them to be kind of still around that 500-ish type of team.
All right. Yeah, and I can kind of hear it too, because again, when you look at a team now that last year was the first time that we got to see that 18th, week, so it was kind of weird that no team can really be technically 500.
Right.
You're either under, you got that line now. You're under or you're over here.
With
mustering up
the
7
game.
wins despite even some of the discrepancies that they had. But that's the thing here. Under this scheme now with Marcus Mariota, will they be able to do better? You would hope so, again, because of the weapons that they had added. But you got to think, Carolina Panthers, everybody comes back healthy, hopefully. They're a team that's young, still
Yes.
pushing, and they added some more talent on top of that team as well. And then you've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If Tom Brady comes back again, just when you think that he's gone, he's back still. So now instantly that puts the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back
on the
in
map.
the speaking situation. And Jameis Winston now at the helm, and now more weapons here for the Saints too. It's going to get pretty scary for them. So it's going to be a tough division for them. Again, I think it's a feel it out season. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do take just a slight step back and still not be above 500. But I could see signs of improvement though throughout the season. All right, so let's move on next to the Carolina Panthers here. The question I have about the Panthers is, let's get up there. Are the Panthers panicking right now? And the reason we ask this question is because you're still hearing talks after the offseason, before once we were done with the Super Bowl, after the draft and now into camp about Baker Mayfield might still be a situation that they want to do. I mean, after you've gone through the different things, Sam Darnold and getting his deal and getting him from the Jets.
Trade.
Yep, absolutely. So he goes down for injury, and you've got the injuries that they've had even here with Christian McCaffrey too. So you go and get Donta Foreman in here too now to help back him up. But the questions about the quarterbacks here to where now you might bring in Baker Mayfield when everybody's already showing up to camp right now, and you want to try to get them assimilated into the offense and then get used to these receivers, get on the same page. That just throws everything all off. So to me, it seems like a level of desperation out of Matt Rule and company.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is when you look at this team, look what they've done in the offseason, and then you're starting to hear like you just mentioned, we're starting to hear rumors about them kind of rekindling that pursuit for Baker Mayfield. But the question is why? Why all of a sudden now, when OTAs or mandatory OTAs, if you will, are now starting to pick up, and where the time to put on the practice field is right now. You got Darnold coming back healthy. Why would you all of a sudden now? And he already has chemistry too. Darnold has chemistry with these receivers.
Oh, yeah.
He looked really good early on in the season, and the first 5 games went 5-0. The Panthers looked really deadly, in the beginning of the season. Then Darnold got hurt, left the game, and then McCaffrey also went down with an injury, and that kind of dismantled that whole roster in their pursuit of winning, pursuing that divisional race. So almost like the problem I have with Matt Rule and his staff now, it seems just like you said, it seems like they're panicking, and that's why we have this question here, is because why would you all of a sudden now pull the plug on Darnold, who you pounded the table for and said, get me that guy, trade for him, get him, I can win with him. And now you're saying, oh, well, you know what? I don't know. Maybe the grass is greener over there. Let's bring in Baker. Can we get Baker here, please? To me, it seems like he's taking on some heat from up top, at the front office. And he says, well, if I make this deal, maybe it buys me another year or two to turn this team around. But here's the thing, is if you do manage to get Baker, let's just say it happens, right? And they get the trade, agreed upon. Baker gets sent to Carolina. Now you have Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold duking it out for the starting position. But now you've traded for 2 quarterbacks to be your starter.
Right.
Darnold already has chemistry. Darnold already knows the offense. Baker's got to learn everything. You're starting from scratch, and you only got about a month or 2 to get it all nailed down before week 1.
And then you also drafted Matt Corral there. That's kind of sitting there. You know what I mean? So what are you going to get out of him? Is he going to be jockeying for the spot, or even if he's going to be sitting back there, though? Because they say if you're going to sit, where you got to learn from somebody. Who are you going to learn from? Two guys that are trying to win the job from each other. Baker's just learning the playbook at the same time you are.
Whoever's sitting next to him is going to teach him.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. Or P.J. Walker, is he going to be there chilling there with him, trying to teach him? Yeah, right? So, I mean, it's just kind of it's an interesting situation because when you look at the team, they're still young. They still have talent. And like I said, and we got to see Chuba Hubbard last year, too, even put on a show. Even though McCaffrey wasn't there, he was doing a good job of running. But they've also added some good stuff here on defense as well, Joe.
Yeah, and the defense has been – this whole team has been super young, and they've done a really good job of keeping the young guys there and keep building. It seems like there's every offseason they're just kind of adding a little bit more talent. That way their roster not only stays young, but they're all growing together on the football field. And when you have a lot of talent across the football field that are young and up and coming, they could be dangerous for a long time. But the coaching staffs don't seem to last that long. So if Matt Rule is panicking and he does go ahead and make a decision with the GM to go ahead and pull the trigger on getting a trade for Baker, I think it's going to cause way more turmoil and indecisiveness with the team. A lot of the players aren't going to know, like, I don't understand why we're doing this. Like, we were doing fine early on last year, and now you're changing things up all over again. We got a new quarterback again. It's gonna almost have them take a step backwards. And I don't think that's the right decision. So, listen, if they didn't have any success with Darnold last year, then I could understand them making the move. But since they did before his injury, I say you stick with what you got, and then you work with the young team that you have. Listen, this young defense, like you mentioned, is, talent-wise is off the charts. And they added Matt Ioannidis to this team to help that D-line out.
Absolutely.
Which is young already, and you add a stud D tackle like that, that's going to really help this whole team because they're young at every single level, and they're only getting better now. So offensively, we saw in the draft they needed a tackle. They just needed somebody to replace the left tackle that left once before. They got Ikem Ekwonu, one of my favorite left tackle coming out.
Yeah, there's a lot of people's favorites in that draft.
This guy is going to be awesome, plug and play. And the offense, I fully expect. And the other question that we might have for this team is, can McCaffrey fucking stay healthy for once? You know what I mean? Because for the Panther fans out there, they got to be pulling their hair out.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, again, you're talking about trying to, the running backs. Are they worth getting what with the big deals, getting paid like Zeke and all these guys, McCaffrey and stuff like that? Are they really worth it? I mean, we're figuring out with the Giants with Saquon Barkley again this year. Will he stay healthy the whole season here for them? Because I'm sure he wants to stick around or be able to find, or play well enough to find a bigger contract with a different team possibly. And this is the thing that these guys have been faced because when he is out there, he's dynamic. We saw it his first season with the receiving, with rushing all together. He's just the whole package, So when he's on the field, it makes even that pressure off that quarterback so much easier. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And Sam Darnold, again, having that chemistry with Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore already seems like the best fit for these guys to move forward. But is it even more of just even some guys trying to get stories out of camp? It's like, hey, they said they might be interested though, so the door's still open. So is it smoke that we're getting a little bit here? Possibly a little bit too.
Probably.
But because it also revolves around that Deshaun Watson issue that's going on here with the more claims, what Cleveland, talking about things, what they're going to do how much time he misses. Baker's not at camp right now because they both agreed that, he wasn't going to be there. So then you're looking at Jacoby Brissett. Is he just going to be the guy for a while?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think in the wake of that unsureness on that team, that's why these conversations pop up for the teams like that were still kind of looking for that quarterback in the Carolina Panthers here. Yeah,
and the interesting thing about Cleveland now is because of everything going on and what you were speaking about, like, they might keep Baker now because of Watson, the uncertainty with Watson. Will he even be here this season? Being able to play. So, and they already kind of burnt that bridge already. Yeah. So Baker does not want to be in Cleveland at all. He wants out. Cleveland doesn't even want him. They've made that perfectly clear. But even now, they're like, wait a second. Wait, Baker, is there any way
Isn't that funny how that
is there
happens,
any way we can make this all right, so you can come back, maybe play for us again? That's the problem. And I could easily see a couple of things happening now with Cleveland. You might have them trade away Baker. They're going to work out they're going to reduce his contract, trade him away, whether it be to the Carolina Panthers or maybe Seattle or whoever. And then you're going to see Cleveland, if Watson, in fact, is not going to play this season, they're going to trade for a guy like Jimmy G, coming from San Fran, because they're going to need a quarterback. And Jimmy G, I know what you were saying about Brissett, maybe stepping up and being that starter. But if they want to kind of help save their season, you go and pull the trigger on getting Jimmy G, bring him in there, competing against Brissett for that starting job, and may the best man win.
That would be an interesting thing to happen. I mean, imagine that goes there for them. I mean, and that would work out. Imagine even having, say, when Deshaun Watson, if he's able to play at one point, you've got Jimmy Garoppolo and Deshaun Watson as your quarterback room right now. I mean, that is something like a lot of these teams would just kind of wish upon right now at this point, right?
It's a pipe dream.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know what's not a pipe dream? It's about going to Mohawk Honda and getting your favorite dream car. Joe, we love our friends there at Mohawk Honda where they go out of their way to please you. We know the slogan. That's right. The team, they can find whatever you're looking for. You can search a lot. You can search online. And they will even search the entire Eastern Seaboard just for you. That's right, to get the real opportunity for you. it's the time right now. Still trade it in. They got the Kelly Blue Book instant cash offer. Get it done. See how much your car's worth right now that you want to get rid of. You know, you can just flat out sell it to them, take the cash, and throw it down on something else, or just walk away, or trade it in. Like we said, check it out online. Check it out in the lot. Talk to my man, C-Mac. Let's do a deal, Cam McKenna. Or you can talk to Deanna Cowles, too. And don't forget Jake Hot Sauce Doyle, my man. He's got the sauce. That's right. And, dude, they are a beautiful family. I follow them on Facebook. You guys should do it, too. You see what they do for the employees. They have get-togethers, donut days, everything else. They're charities out all around. They take care of the local area. Beautiful people. It's like a big family. Mohawk Honda, where they go out of their way to please you, Joe. That's right. Mohawk Honda. We love it. I got to get invited from Mohawk Honda to go to the golf tournament, though. They don't want to. I want to get involved in that. I'm ready to do some golf, man.
I think they're worried about you coming in and kind of,
Hey, man, I'm nasty. Yeah,
taking them
tell
out.
you, it'll be fun.
They don't want you to
We got to
step
get
on
the
the green.
Godzilla Media golf tournament going on or something like that. We got to get it. Just hit the small ball round, man. Yeah, I think people want to see this. We should televise that too as well. How about that? Let us know there in the comments. All right. So, anyways, let's get back to it. We're talking about the NFC North or South, NFC South's biggest questions. We're rolling right now into the New Orleans Saints here. Now, the Saints. Can the Saints compete for the division right now? And I think they played pretty well last year, even despite the injuries, despite talk about major injuries, not having Michael Thomas. So
loss of a quarterback.
Loss of a quarterback, absolutely, too, as well. So, I mean, and it was a different wide receiver each week. There was no real true starter and stuff. They were just kind of getting by with what they could, relying on that defense that they had. I mean, that defense, the one thing has been solid, and I think that's what helped Dennis Allen get that job here and become down to head coach now that Sean Payton has stepped away from the game.
That's what I would say would help him get the job, is that Payton stepped away.
And do you think you just refer to here, grab this guy, he's the man right here?
Well, you know what? It's an in-house hire. It was quick for them to figure out. And Dennis Allen has had head coaching experience. So it's not like he's coming in a fish out of water and is trying to learn the ropes. So for the Saints, it was kind of easy for them to kind of just go with what was working. I know Peyton moved on, but let's keep everything in-house. So they hire Dennis Allen, and Dennis Allen is obviously going to keep everybody already there. So you have that continuity. You know what I mean? Everybody on the coaching staff that was there last year still has a job. They're still there. They're still familiar with the players. And it was a rough go last season, losing your quarterback, not really having a receiving threat. Michael Thomas got injured. They're definitely their number one, obviously. And then you look at the rest of the crew, and it was like a crew of misfits. It was a revolving door of wide receivers. Somebody had to make a play, and they were trying to rely on the young Marquez Callaway, but he still needs further development. And you saw that on the football field. Maybe this year he'll make a bigger contribution, but you know, all in all, the team struggled because of lack of weapons and no quarterback, and their defense was good. Their defense was really solid. But when you don't have the other side of the ball helping you out, it makes for some tough goes.
Right, and that's the one thing that they definitely made sure that we all knew that they were looking to attack. You know, they go and do it in the draft of getting Chris Olave there. And now we got Michael Thomas still coming back from that injury, but looking to be able to play this season. They go to get Trevor Penning, too, now at the left tackle situation. So trying to help protect Jameis Winston back there. And then also Jarvis Landry now added, too. So they go and attack that weakness that they had. It said, now we not only do have our true starter, we have a few good starters here. We have a lot of weapons here. And there's been even talks, about other things going on, which we think it's all, hearsay with some of the other additions that they're thinking about having. But now this is a legit offense, scary looking now to compete for this division here on top of that still scary defense that they had there. And not only the players that they had before, but they go and get guys like Honey Badger too as well in the defense, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the offense, they had a huge hole at left tackle. Teron Armstead moved on, went to another team, and there was big questions like, what are the Saints going to do? Because we knew that they had a lot of needs at wide receiver. They definitely needed to find somebody at left tackle, and they got two studs out of the draft to replace both those positions, Trevor Penning, Chris Olave. And like Jim mentioned, with the addition of Landry, it completes the offense. And that's the biggest thing is whenever you're a team that either is coming back from injury or is about to lose somebody that's very important to the team, you have to find a way to replace them to carry on for the next season.
Yeah, because everybody else's game plan had to have been just big stop Alvin Kamara at that point. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it was easy. They had no quarterback. I mean, it was that was without being said, that's what the defense was thinking. But offensively, it looks like now on paper at least they are very complete. They look on paper to be a dangerous offense, and Winston coming back yet again healthy. We still have to wait and see what kind of offense they're actually going to run, because they do have Carmichael as the offensive coordinator who was under Sean Payton, but it's not going to be Sean Payton's offense. This is going to be Carmichael's offense. So we'll have to wait and see how he calls plays, what kind of plays he likes to call in certain situations, to really get an idea of what this offense is going to truly look like. And defensively, I got to say it, this team is one of the few teams that have gone out in the offseason and really hit a home run at the safety position. They not only bring in guys like Marcus May from the Jets with getting a big deal done there, but they also, as a late signing, get Tyrann Mathieu, like you mentioned.
Right.
2 big-time stud safeties on top of this already dangerous defense. So right there, not only do they fill holes, but they fill holes with experience and playmaking ability.
It's kind of funny because they got both of KC's former safeties here with Sorensen as well, too, on there and that back end, too. So it's kind of funny these guys here brought in on this team. But, yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. That's got to be this strength again. The backbone of this team's got to be their defense. And hopefully, like you said, Winston can stay healthy first, but then even, limit those turnovers, because we've seen what he'd be able to do offensively and air the ball out, and he can throw still. It's just some of those poor decisions that we do where he would get, compounding turnovers that would just kill like that old Tampa Bay offense that he was in before.
And it's gotta also make you think too, is how long of a leash does Winston have? Because they also signed Andy Dalton as like a backup insurance policy in case Winston does either get hurt or struggles big time. So you got to wonder, like, is he going to be able to play, as long until they're maybe close to being out of the hunt? You know what I mean? Or is it not even going to be that long, and they're going to be like, well, if you lose like 3 games straight, we're pulling you, and we're done. You know what I mean?
Right. Right, and that's Andy Dalton. He's seasoned into that position really nicely, I think. He was that starter for a long time, could get kind of to the playoffs, but couldn't get it done. Even though he had AJ Green, a lot of talent too on that offense. But now look at it. The last couple teams he's been paired with has had some pretty good receivers to throw to, even there at the Cowboys. So now you're Andy Dalton sitting with these guys here that you could throw to. How does that not just help my career still as a backup quarterback right now and still keep it going there? Maybe I could be the starter for now and be that bridge quarterback until they grab somebody young. Throwing to guys like Michael Thomas, a young Chris Olave, and Jarvis Landry on top of it. The Red Rifle's loving it right now.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing, too, is let's go back to when he was with Cincinnati. And he caught a lot of flack and said, you couldn't win the big one and everything. What did he have around him, though? Besides AJ Green, what did he have? He didn't have a whole lot. I mean, you could make the argument that the Bengals now, if Andy Dalton was a quarterback now with the Bengals, with all that talent, with a really good offensive line, maybe he does more damage and carries them to the Super Bowl. So it also goes to show you that just because your quarterback isn't as playing as well as you would like him to, it also is about everybody around him. His offensive line was terrible when he was a quarterback too. So that no one wants to bring that up. No one wants to bring up those other positions, but it all works together. That's why NFL football is the best sport in terms of a team sport. It truly, at every single level, if you have a good player at every single level, it makes you so much more dangerous.
But the team doesn't get the credit altogether. It's still like the quarterback that would get the credit for all of that. Isn't that funny about it? It is the ultimate team sport.
Yes.
But when credit is coming, it doesn't usually go to the team as a whole.
No, it goes either to the head coach or the quarterback or both or whatever.
It's kind of funny how it's broken down like that, especially when people want to try to start talking legacies and things like that.
That's a mindset thing. That's what it's a tradition type of thing where everybody, gives the accolades or gives the points the finger when the quarterback or the team does bad. It's a mindset. And we haven't broken that mindset of just saying, oh, well, the team did this, not just Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not playing defense, everybody.
Right.
So,
and I think it's the more people get open to watching shows like us and podcasts too as well, people that aren't traditional journalists and people trying to get those ratings, that are out there and stuff like that, like push button type of hot topics and stuff like that. I think then people get a little more open to that type of stuff because it's a forum for you to share your opinion about it, and people's not going to go. They're not going to go after you and say, "Wow, you're obviously not paying attention," and all that stuff. But you know what? You guys should be paying attention to our friends at Johnstone Supply. They're back with us, Joe. Here we go. It's the summertime. It's time to cool it down. In the wintertime, they like to keep us toasty warm and check our furnaces and stuff like that. But you know what? It's summer. It's getting hot now here. So tell everybody about Johnstone Supply here.
Johnstone Supply, man, if you have any needs for your cooling, even in the winter months, they do heating as well. They don't just do cooling to keep your house cold or apartment. They're there for you always. So if you got any questions, you can go ahead and give them a ring-a-ling-ding at 518-272-5922. Or you can even go on Facebook, maybe send them a message or something like that. And they don't only have one location here locally in the capital region. They also are out west towards the Seattle area, and they're also down south towards our Florida brothers. So Johnstone Supply is your place to go. Also, they have guaranteed lowest prices on Milwaukee tools. That's right. You heard it here first or second or third. But Milwaukee Tools, they have guaranteed lowest prices. If you happen to find a lower price, whether it be $5 cheaper, whatever, make sure you make them aware of it. They'll make a change for you and sell you it right on site. But Johnstone Supply, I forgot the address, but you can call them at 518-272-5922.
Yeah, it's right there in 4th Ave or 4th Street in Troy. I know where it is.
That don't sound right.
4th Ave or 4th Street, isn't it right down there? I know it's something like that.
I think it's like
I don't remember. 6th Ave, maybe. Yeah, you're probably right. You do the read all the time. Anyways, all right, so here we go. Now, finally, we're going to get to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, and Paul Matty can chime in on this one here.
What kind of a question could we come up with this?
Yes, it was tough to find questions here with this. Also, I guess a question between this team and then the last. We've seen now 2 defensive coordinators become head coaches. So now they don't choose one D coordinator to help with their defense. They actually grab 2, assistant coaches to be coordinators.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? What do you think that is? It's just kind of like you guys have already been seeing this through as I go through anyways. Just keep doing what you're doing type of deal?
They've been the understudies of Todd Bowles. So
you don't want to pick a favorite? I love you all here.
I don't
pick favorites.
but they've been learning, learning under Todd Bowles. Exactly, right? But now they're given an opportunity to see, maybe one excels more than the other. Maybe they need a little bit of support each other to make this thing work. But honestly, I think when you have 2 minds, it could either work out for you or hinder you when it comes to ideas and concepts of what they want to do against each opponent. Because Larry Foote might have a different idea. I want to be more aggressive. I want to blitz more against this team. And Casey Rogers might be like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. I think we should play cover 3 for the base cover 3 against this team. Blitzing doesn't make any sense. Oh, yeah, but I think it does. And then you're going to have Daddy Todd Bowles come in and be like, no, this is what we're going to do. You know what I mean? So it could lead to confusion and maybe even some arguing a little bit. Not, personal, but, competitive. The competitiveness in them might get the best of them in terms of coming up with a game plan and staying consistent with it. So it could help or hurt because of how many minds are in the game. but also maybe it might work if they're going to bounce ideas off each other and make the defense
right. And
better
maybe
that way.
that's what they've been doing throughout. If you're in the Saints case with Nielsen and Richard, they went to college together even too, and they played together. So I think they've been tight together. Well, I don't know about that, but we can't do any hearsay about that. But again, they've probably been on the same path and the same line that Dennis Allen is. I think it's kind of funny that two teams now, especially in this division now, have named co-coordinators.
And
is this a new trend we're going to see?
But the problem is we've seen Todd Bowles be the head coach, and it hasn't worked out too well for him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've got Swervo Gaming in the house with us tonight, Joe.
What's going on, Swervo?
Swervo, he's at a fire, dude.
Back,
he's been at a fire the last couple of times. He's listened to us. He's there chilling at a fire, having us on around the pit. Yeah. I like it, man. I like it. We're chilling. I
hope you have a beer or a beverage in your hand.
He goes, yeah, there you go. He goes, I'm so out of the loop, so get me caught up. All right, so
ask away.
Whatever you want. I mean, what do you think about the Minka Fitzpatrick deal? You think that's good there? If not, we're talking about the NFC South right now. Biggest questions. What do you think are some of the biggest questions for those teams? We covered the Atlanta Falcons, the Panthers, and the Saints right now. We're about to roll into the Bucs, but we will touch back on those other ones. You just joined us here. So
Swervo, if you have questions about maybe
anything
what has
else
transpired with your own team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's roll through it, Joe. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right, so we just got done talking about the coaches.
Well, a little bit, yeah. And was the biggest question, I guess, that we just had all together then, will the defense take a hit now that Bowles is there as a head coach? And now he's kind of relying it on these guys, seeing he was being that main voice, that main focal point here. Now he needs to direct himself to the team as a whole.
Right.
And that's where he kind of had issues, I think, as being the Jets head coach. You know what I mean? Because you've seen defensive-minded head coaches become that kind of locker room guy for that defense. But if you're an offensive guy, wide receiver, whatever, and then you got this guy trying to talk to me the same way and stuff like that, and I ain't for that. We've seen it with Rex Ryan with the Jets and stuff like that. Rub a bunch of guys the wrong way and all this tough talk and all things like that too as well. Like, a lot of people don't agree with that whole deal. Just because you were good with the defensive guys like that, I'm on offense, bro. You know, what are you doing?
I mean, the saving grace for the Buccaneers is that they still have Byron Leftwich as their offensive coordinator, who has been there with Tom Brady, has been with that offense, and has been working cohesively with Brady and himself. So I don't think the offense will be affected at all. I understand everyone's going to point the finger and say, "Oh, well, Bruce Arians was a significant part." No, he wasn't. He was a figurehead head coach who actually ended up having some personal issues with some teammates on the roster. So I think now that toxicity has been removed from the locker room, I think that's going to make this team a lot more closer knit, and they might even play better on Sundays.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some more know-it-alls in the house. Joe, who's in the house with us tonight?
We got Mike Tackett, baby.
Mike Tackett is in the house with us tonight, too,
Welcome,
as well.
Mike.
He could fill you in even, too.
So
Swervo.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is Swervo mentioned something about trades or whatever. Well, we're not quite sure how far back you haven't been paying attention, but a lot of big-time trades have happened and transpired throughout the offseason.
He's reminding us here, too, that he is a Jets fan, too. I thought he was. I just want to make sure. And the Raiders, please. Oh, wow. All right, here we go. Break it down for us, Joe.
All right, well, real quick, Devontae Adams got traded to the Raiders. Tyreek Hill got traded to the Dolphins. There's so many trades that have
and
happened.
Cats living together. Mass hysteria.
It was probably the craziest offseason I've ever witnessed with trades and new signings, players going around. Juju Smith-Schuster signed with the Chiefs. Like, there's just so much to take on. What I would suggest to you is to try to look back in our group, and you could see a bunch of different pieces of news that has transpired this offseason.
If you follow the Jets on, too, what do you think about the additions, how they tackled the draft? I'm sure you saw people that they got in the draft. I mean, it couldn't have been any better for them. I mean, all the people they had drafted, I'm sure were just on their list, and they're like, cool, we got this guy. We got this guy.
Johnson.
And if we trade up here, we're going to get this guy. Boom. This is amazing. Bang. There you go. And
they did have a great draft.
What a better way to set up this defense and offense, too, on top of it as well, to help out that young quarterback and try and move forward in this division that It's still kind of, despite the Bills got to be the upper echelon here. Underneath that, hey, let's duke it out. I'm ready for a fight in that division.
It's
you know what I'm saying?
Any given team after them.
Absolutely. Mike Tackett, so he says happy hump day, guys. Absolutely. And he says, what do you think about Bruce Arians' comments now about if Tom Brady wasn't playing that he'd probably be coaching the Bucs? Shots fired, huh?
And we alluded to that already,
Yeah.
saying that Bruce Arians ruffled some feathers in the locker room against other teammates. And you know,
we said it last year during when he was coaching with them.
We talked about it even when we was with the Cardinals. We called it out and said, well, there's some kind of, you know, not so good vibes in Arizona, and Bruce Arians might be on his way out. And sure enough, the next season he wasn't the coach anymore. So this kind of storyline has followed Bruce Arians everywhere he's coached. So where there's smoke, there's fire. We say it all the time, and players are complaining about him. And none other than Tom Brady had an issue with him. So that goes to show you right there. And Tom Brady is actually one of the most professional players in the league that, you know, he does everything, you know, kind of the right way. He doesn't get into trouble, and he helps everybody that he can. But when with as good as Tom Brady is as a person, and Bruce Arians is getting on his nerves, you got to kind of wonder, you know, what the hell is, you know, Bruce Arians' problem.
Well, he probably called Arians out on some things because, again, you know, Tom Brady likes to
Absolutely.
be. He's got to be that.
He'll stand up.
The general right there. You know what I'm saying? And he sees things. He's been around. He's been there for a long time. He's had that commanding part of the team, the locker room. Back when he was with the Patriots, comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, brings that same prowess, and you've got Bruce Arians there, who I think again tough talk. Throw his chest out there. It's my way to the highway type of deal or whatever. And they just kind of batted a little bit together there. Is you going to believe Tom or are you going to go with me or whatever?
I'm going to believe Tom.
And then he got physical with people. And you can't be doing that. This isn't like
you
some
can't
of those.
smack people
you can't
upside
even do
the
that.
head.
Yeah, like
come on.
Coaches try to do that in high school and stuff like that. You can't even do that anymore now.
I'll tell you right now.
Videos.
Bruce Arians, even though he was the head coach and did that, he's lucky that player didn't slug him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Especially, yeah, you know, you want to talk about fines for some of the words that people say. I mean, you know, when you're doing that and physically doing that to your own players on the sidelines, it's uncalled for. All right, getting to Swervo, what he's saying about some stuff here.
Here we go.
He says, so the Steelers have nothing now. Besides a halfback, and that Hurts draft, and Hurts draft happy as fuck, and what Hill and I can't even read half of this. Was it?
He goes, and what Hill and Adams got traded.
Adams, that's supposed to be at the typo. Sorry.
Watch Raiders this year, deep playoffs or Super Bowl, calling it Carr with Adams is unstoppable. Yeah, I will say this. I won't go as far, even though I'm a Raiders fan, I won't go as far and say, oh, we're Super Bowl bound now. Because we still got to, you know, see what the defense does. But offense looks unstoppable. It does look unstoppable. And as long as they kind of keep, now that they signed Renfro, if they can work out a deal with Waller, this offense could be dangerous for a long time. The other thing I'll say is, yeah, Tyreek Hill did, in fact, get traded from the Chiefs to the Dolphins. Now, the trade was very one-sided. I mean, Tyreek Hill gets traded, but the Dolphins gave up a ton in compensation just to acquire Hill. But nonetheless, they got the deal done. They have their guy in Hill. New coach in Miami. What's his name? Mike McDaniels, I think.
Yeah.
He was the young offensive coordinator with the Niners, learning under Kyle there. So you got to kind of wonder, like, how often they're going to do jet sweeps with Tyreek Hill or kind of, you know, just little short passes, let him run with the ball. So, honestly, a lot has transpired. Yeah, Devontae Adams got traded to the Raiders only for a first and second last season, or this offseason, I should say. And there's a ton more. Like, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There were so many trades that happened. There were so many different signings of players moving to different teams. It was hysteria. It was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, if you didn't know that, we just talked about the Saints, too. Jarvis Landry with the Saints now is alongside of Michael Thomas with Chris Olave getting drafted, too. So that team.
Tyrann Mathieu is no longer a Chief. He signed with the Saints.
And he talked about the Steelers being horrible. Yeah, I mean, that looks tough right there. Again, it's sad what had happened with their quarterback, but then they go and draft Kenny Pickett again, where you had issues with his hands, his small hands. Got to go to a team that has a dome, maybe beautiful weather, stuff like that. You're afraid, and he goes right and probably to one of the worst places to go, where you get the snow, you get the rain right on the side there with the rivers.
I'm telling you right now you
and
look
money,
through
Mr. Trubisky, right
you
there.
You look through the history of quarterbacks in the NFL. Quarterbacks with small hands didn't work out. They just never did, and I think the only way it could have worked out for Pickett is if he, like I said, go to a stadium with a dome where at least half the season he's going to be indoors, so you don't have to worry about it. But goes to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and then he brings up, he goes, because again, your outlook, he goes, and you're a Raiders fan. What? He goes, let's go. He's like, my order is Jets, Raiders, and then Giants. To be honest, kind of gave up on the Giants. Ironic, because my team is the Jets, but still.
Jimmy's a Giants
fan. So
fan.
there you go. See, that's what he's saying. He's like, all three of us are lumped together. Those are his three teams.
Together, we're a trio.
Yeah, and it's funny because we had all those years with the Raiders being like kind of bad for like 12 years. Like a 12-year run.
Not kind of.
You know?
Just bad.
And that was kind of the laughing joke. But now it's been the Jets and the Giants getting all that and nothing good coming out of New York. But maybe, again, with this New York Rangers here in the hockey kind of getting some spark going, maybe the Giants and Jets now, especially what the Jets have done in the draft, they can get a spark going here and get some of these other New York-based teams to get some fire under them and make some playoffs here and get something to talk about over here in New York because everybody's fired up, ready to get going. Giants, a lot of questions here, though, so we'll see. It's just a season of what ifs. What if Daniel Jones can show he can be who he can be? But then if he does, what kind of deal do you give him? Saquon Barkley, same thing. If he can actually stay healthy the whole time, will he be the Saquon Barkley of old?
Sure.
We're not sure. He can, but what do you do? What do you give him? Do you give him a big contract? What do you do? A long-term, short-term? Maybe just, ride it out, trade him, whatever?
Because of his injuries, it's going to be easy. Because of his injuries, he's not going to get a big deal. And that's really what the negotiating part of it is for the Giants. I do foresee him staying with the Giants. It's not going to be for anything like highest paid running back or anything, obviously, because he's been always injured. And then as far as Daniel Jones go, that's the biggest question mark for the Giants this upcoming season. And we're going to get to that.
Definitely. Sorry, I just real quick too about your Raiders too. I mean, and that's understandable. I'm not one of them people. You're not one of those people that even though it's your team, you like what they've done, but you also find the weaknesses that you have.
Oh yeah.
You question some of the things that they do
all the time.
But what they've done looks promising. Looks
so
good
far.
On paper.
Looks great on paper.
Let's see it play itself out. Let's see how it goes.
The one thing that I'll say and this is why I have more confidence in the Raiders offense, is that Derek Carr and Hunter Renfrow were the only big weapons on that offense for that playoff run. That's it. Waller got hurt, missed half the season, and it was all on Renfrow and guys like Zay Jones. You know what I mean? So if they can make the playoffs with just that kind of a crew, now you look at Waller, Renfrow, and Adams. There's just who do you double team? Who do you stop?
And he says here, he goes, LOL, like what happened with the Chiefs won only one game in the season not long ago. Now everyone is like Super Bowl, haha. Yeah. Just never know when a team will explode.
And that's the thing, too, is every team goes through this. Every team goes through a losing series of seasons because you could be at the top like the Chiefs are right now, right? They're one of the better teams in the league and everything, but eventually stuff's going to break down because of money, because you can't keep everybody on the roster, and then if you don't do a good job of re-adding talent along the way, you're going to progressively get worse until you're one of the bottom feeders again, and then it's going to take another however long to get back up into the winning side of things.
They could be looking at that now with what they're doing. The reason why they had to trade away Tyreek Hill, to keep whatever everybody else that they could together. But Travis Kelce isn't going to be there forever too, as well.
And he's getting older.
So and already right now, I think they're starting to because they're getting competition from the Buffalo Bills, other teams that are young
in their division.
That quarterback, and look at that conference, AFC conference. If you didn't know either yet, Swervo. Russell Wilson is a Denver Bronco right now, too, as well. So in that same division now, you've got Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Patrick Mahomes, and which is McCall, Herbert,
Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that. Roughly that. We'll just say at least those are top 10 quarterbacks right there.
All four of them.
You know what I mean? Boom.
Yeah.
Just like that. He says, I like Danny Dimes, but he's not a Super Bowl quarterback in my mind. He's a solid guy, but I don't see him winning a Super Bowl. No, I don't think so either, but who knows?
I think you got to pump the brakes a little bit because, yeah, he might not be Super Bowl elite type of quarterback level.
Right.
However, we've seen quarterbacks with a lot less of a resume win Super Bowls. So if the new Buffalo staff that has come in, and with the additions that they've made in the offseason, if they can kind of just not kind of get Daniel Jones refocused into not having to be the guy and to take on the offense by himself. Now that he has help, he has a better offensive line in front of him. Hopefully Saquon can stay healthy to help him out in the backfield. It looks like they're going to develop this offense to where he doesn't have to sit back there and it's all on him. He's got to make the play or be hell bent. So it's going to be a progress, no doubt about it. But I feel like with this coaching staff, it looks like they're going to try to get the ball out of his hands quickly, get the ball into your playmakers, and let them make the plays.
That's the thing, though, too, is because I think the last regime, they wanted him to throw the ball downfield more.
Yeah, hold on to it.
With a weak offensive line, there is no chance you're going to be able to throw the ball downfield. Those plays take way too long to develop.
That's not a good equation.
Right, and then again, you didn't have the running game to back him up.
Yes.
As well. Big Ben is done, he says.
Done.
Yes,
he
is.
retired.
And he also says about Russell Wilson, he goes, I don't think the Broncos will explode with him. Sorry, but I don't see even playoffs.
And you're kind of the same mindset that we are. Like, everybody's kind of saying, oh, since Russell Wilson's been with the Broncos, now the Broncos are going to be like the division winners. That's the hype that's going on. Don't see it changing that much. I definitely see them improving, but I don't see them kind of taking this division by storm.
I see it being competitive. And the thing is, though, too, is because you look at what there was with Seattle and what he was able to do on his own in Seattle. And that's why people, I think, are just excited about that because they get a healthy Jerry Jeudy, too, as well. They see the weapons that are around him.
Well, I'll take the Seattle weapons over the Bronco weapons any day. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, are you kidding me? They're way better than Jerry Jeudy.
All right, and then he says,
real quick,
go ahead.
I want to address that. Big Ben is done; he's retired. Guess who might be the quarterback for the Steelers? Go ahead, just guess. I'll give you a second.
What?
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky signed in the offseason from Buffalo to the Steelers, and now it looks like he will be the starter for the Steelers. Mitch frickin' Trubisky gets another shot.
Yeah, why not? Let's see what happens. Again, for me, you got to get Mitch Trubisky out in space, get him in some bootlegs, get him out on his feet because he does better when he can see the ball from the outside the pocket. When he's asked to sit there in the pocket, he misses it every time. He just can't get it. I don't know what it is. Maybe because, again, by that time, plays already broke down, and then the guys are scrambling, and he's more of that type of backyard football type of guy. He's like, here, get over here, boom, boom, and make a play. And he's got some legs, though, too, so he can also run. And that makes him a dual threat in a sense.
Yeah, that's something the Steelers have never had. And Mike Tomlin is a huge fan of a mobile quarterback, and he's been trying to find the next guy behind Big Ben that could do that. So now to get a guy like Mitch, maybe he makes enough difference. I know they don't have a lot of receivers around him, but maybe he makes up that difference of lack of receivers with his legs. We'll see.
He says he needs to get out of his own head, look at some film. He messes up once and he gets it out of his own head. You're right, because you've seen it before when he's had interviews and things, and you see him on the sidelines too. He does because I think even what was that? I think it was like second season after a starter or something like that. He had brought it up, I think, in conversations with interviews and stuff like that about how he's really focused and trying to fix those mistakes. He really bothers him, and then you see him get nervous in games, or you could see where he shuts down. And you're right, Swervo, that's where it is. He says also back here when he's talking about the quarterbacks here and maybe drafting somebody deeper and turning into something, he says about True, I mean, Tom Brady was like a 6th-round pick. Ha, you never know.
You don't.
And if he's your guy, fits your scheme too as well, that makes a lot of sense. A funny thing about Tom Brady, dude, I was going scrolling around on YouTube and stuff like that, found an old video of Around the Horn, and they went to somebody, one of the analysts or something like that, and not only they're talking about Michael Vick possibly being the next Dan Marino, but he also says you don't need that star franchise quarterback to win a Super Bowls, and he says look at Trent Dilfer and look at Tom Brady right now. I mean, you can win with just an average quarterback. And that was 10 years ago that they said. Now, imagine now. Yeah. Now, 10 years later, you're like,
scrutiny.
Wow. Look at the narrative, how that has been changed about Tom Brady. It's like, you could even win the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. Now it's expected. People are talking about it right now. That's a headline, I think, on NFL.com right now. As Tom Brady, can he do it again? All right, he says, how many Tom Bradys have never played, though? Yeah. Even ever got to the NFL? Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? With some of these other leagues that you're seeing now, you get to see some of these guys. I really like the whole fan-controlled league type of deal. I think that's a cool kind of aspect of the game. You kind of see a lot of former stars playing here and there, and stuff like that. I think that's a neat type of thing. It's a different alternative to like an arena league and stuff like that.
It's still an arena thing.
Yeah,
though,
it is.
So
I like that.
I don't know, and that's the thing is now you're starting to see it kick back up in terms of leagues now. Mm-hmm. Now that there's more leagues resurfacing, USFL is now around. FCF is now around. Arena League is around.
XFL will be starting soon,
And XFL is about to start, right? But here's the thing: is all these leagues that have started have failed. They haven't been able to sustain life in this realm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. In football. Hopefully they do, because it does give more athletes an opportunity to at least continue their careers and maybe, quite possibly, catch the eyes of the NFL to bring them up, and maybe they make the squad. So it's just another pathway at this point to give a wider audience or a wider, wider amount of leagues for players, a playing field, if you will, to be looked at, to maybe, quite possibly, maybe if somebody sees something that they like in you or something that they could change to make you better, then maybe you might get called up to the big leagues. Yeah,
different alternatives, things like that. We've seen it around. I mean, look at P.J. Walker. He was in the AAFL and did pretty well here and got himself back onto another roster as well.
And calling it Patriots with...
He's calling it right now. Patriots will be dangerous this year. I just feel like, I don't know, they looked better than I thought last year. I don't know, just think things will click this time.
I don't think they're going to click very well, because I'm going to tell you why.
I'm sorry, I'm terrible at reading some of these. Because a lot of acronyms and things like that. He's texting on a phone.
Swervo, there's some things that have a lot of people scratching their heads with the Patriots this offseason. Bill Belichick, listen, that's right. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Josh McDaniels, as the offensive coordinator, is no longer there with the Patriots. He's now the head coach of the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And John Gruden quit, basically. Because
and
of
now
issues.
Belichick has all his coaches doing opposite things.
Listen, he has Joe Judge on the offensive side of the ball. He has Matt Patricia, who used to be their D coordinator, as the offensive line coach. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And Joe Judge is what? He's the
quarterback's coach. Yeah.
Yeah. So those two guys.
He did a great job with Daniel Jones, let me tell you.
So those two guys, they don't get to call defense, but they're going to play offense. And not to mention, Belichick has also kind of stated, or at least hinted towards, one of them maybe even being the offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. So go figure that one out. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's telling Mac Jones, he's like, it's third down. We're against the goal line. I want you to do quarterback sneak. Because we're going to punt next.
One of the top corners in the league, J.C. Jackson, is no longer with the Patriots. He's now a Charger because he signed in free agency. And Donta Hightower is not with the Patriots. So they lost some veterans on that
J.C.
side of
Jackson
the ball.
majorly, too.
And offensively, there's a lot of questions with the coaching staff because they're depleted now. The defense is depleted in terms of veterans. They're no longer there. So you got to wonder if these new up-and-coming players are going to make that big leap. Who knows?
And who knows even, I mean, yes, they're really all in on Jacoby Myers, but they just got Devontae Parker there, but he most of his career has been injured back and forth. So I finally got to see him what he could be. But him there with Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith together, that sounds nice. But how healthy will he be, though? Again, who knows? You know what I'm saying? But
I just don't think it. Listen, we've seen the decline in the Patriots. Like, they showed promise last year with Mac Jones being their quarterback. But now it almost looks like the staff has changed so much. You know what I mean? They no longer have McDaniels was such a big, important piece to that offense that I'm not really sure if they're going to be able to combat the loss of him.
Right.
To the point
that's
where
why Kraft made sure he locked him back in when that whole Colts thing happened.
And then on top of that, you look at the defense. That's going to be different looking. It's not going to be the same. Yeah, same scheme, but different players now.
By the way, I don't know if you knew that then too. It's because your team ended up getting the New York Giants defensive coordinator. You know, so I mean, I don't know if he knew that, if that was a move
Patrick
too as
Graham.
well, Patrick Graham. So I mean, the Giants Raiders type of thing going on for him. So it's funny that he's all in on these teams.
He says, "Never mind, more reasons for Raiders to go up and more
Pats
for
to
Pats
go
to go down.
Yeah,
and who's coaching the Giants? Ha. Oh, it's the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator. Brian Dable.
Yep. So it sounds pretty good. I like what he's doing. He's
from the Bills.
Talking a big game here and everything, and the players seem really behind him too as well. And he's got some of those former Buffalo teamates.
You'll appreciate that comment right there.
Yeah.
Bring back Tom to coach the Giants.
Yeah,
Tom
you know what's funny too? I never get it when franchises or teams try and get rid of a guy that has had success, but seeing he hasn't made it to the playoffs, or they're not doing so well compared to some of these other teams that are getting there, that he's just not good, so they just want to get rid of him. I've seen teams, you just see it. You see it in the NBA all the time. Yeah. Like, the team consistently wins, doesn't make the playoffs, or even if they happen to trend into playoffs, but they're not getting to that next level, they'll dump them. It's like, you're not happy with what you're getting. Yes, we're not winning a championship, but it's not like terrible what's going on. I think the Ben McAdoo idea was terrible. I think the Pat Shurmur idea was way worse. And then Joe Judge, with his toughness, I started to kind of buy in, like, all right, what do you got here? But then it just turned out to be false.
Well, the thing is, too, is when you have something good, don't change it, right? Tom Coughlin, with the Giants as their head coach, had tremendous success. He had the team, essentially he had the team by the balls. Like, he was the go-to guy with the Giants organization, whether it be with the front office or with the players. He was always around that facility, was always a significant part of it. The decision-making in the front office, him coaching on the field with the players loved him, too. Like, he was just the epitome of a Giants coach. And because of how important he was and how successful he was with the Giants, why would you move on from that just because you haven't made the Super Bowl yet? Continue to build, continue to get better with him as your coach. And who knows? Maybe the Giants by now could have been making a push for the Super Bowl. We won't know that because the Giants front office pulled the trigger too quickly and said, "Oh no, you're fired. You can't make it to the Super Bowl." It's like for everybody picking on Andy Dalton when he was with Bengal. You can't win the big game, so you're done. Even though you're successful, you're close. Keep working on building the team up with that player or coach, and eventually you could get there.
Right.
But we never – teams need to – it's almost in a sense teams need to be more patient when you have success. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you're struggling and you're not going anywhere, I get it. Make a change. But if you have success, you're making the playoffs routinely, or you're right at the AFC Championship door or NFC Championship door, but just can't quite get there, keep working on it. You will get there.
And as far as with that, I think having Ben McAdoo as that offensive coordinator was probably their better fit, keeping him there. You saw Eli Manning's numbers improve, his accuracy, everything get better, get in that situation. So if you stuck with that another season, I think, ran it back again, and then find the pieces to fit into your puzzle again, build on something, then you could have stuck around with something.
Right.
Instead, they pull it too fast, and then he's sitting there. We made jokes about it. I was dressed up as him for Halloween.
Yes,
with the, just looking up at like the Titantron, looking for answers or something, and then back at his list again, and like kind of like, what am I doing here? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Clueless. But you want to talk about guys that had success? Marvin Lewis, we got the opportunity to talk to LaVon Kirkland, and a lot of people maybe didn't know that Marvin Lewis was a coach with the Steelers back then when he was playing for them, and so he had success then with that team as a coordinator and coach back then. Then becoming the Bengals head coach, continuously making the playoffs, and you know we eventually were just kind of want to go with multiple people. Carson. Not Carson Wentz, but Carson. I can't even think of it. Is it Carson Palmer? Carson Palmer too was there during his regime too as well until he ended up getting fired.
Regime.
Yeah. So, but the consistency, and eventually, again, they're like, well, we're just gonna get rid of him now. We're tired of this. We want more. But the team wouldn't spend though either.
Right, they were cheap.
The team is one of the cheapest teams out there, so you can't tell me that we're not going to go out and spend and that you're not doing a good enough job, even though we're consistently making the playoffs, and we got to move on from you just to get something fresh in there. Luckily, it's a few years here with Zach that they've been able to do something here, and now they got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase now together, a good tandem, 1-2 punch.
Yep.
And now look what the Bengals have turned into here. So, but it took a few years after they made the change.
Yeah. Hey, here's the thing too is if you're new to the show, just got to say this one more time. If you're new to the show, if you know someone that loves football, direct them our way. Help us grow this community. We're a loving football community. We're here for everybody. We talk about all 32 teams. This is what it's all about, baby. The back and forth, the interaction with Swervo Gaming.
Swervo. It's been a while, homie.
Drop in the comments below. Listen, we feed off of this. This is what we do. We share our opinions with you guys. You guys share your opinions with us. And that's what it's all about, teaching each other.
That is correct.
If you're new to the show, direct everybody that loves football to us on YouTube or Facebook, Football on the No Show. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell to let you know when we go live. And if you're on Facebook, same deal. Become a member, become a know-it-all. If you're on and if you don't want to be interactive with us, that's fine. We're okay with that. And you just want to listen, you can do that too. On anywhere you get your podcasts, we'll be there. Follow us on anywhere you get your podcasts.
Joe, it used to be you, but you know what? I'm really bad with trying to, a lot of people can figure out what people are trying to say on text and stuff like that. I'm not one of those people. I will literally read the word for what it is and not figure it out. But I'm going to try and go through this, and I know it's probably not your fault, Swervo, here. You're probably trying to do autocorrect and text here, but I'm going to try and go through this. Why not look down on college head coaches that have proves themselves even, I think that's maybe just lower colleges, like keep them at their spot where they excel.
Has proves them, he says, has proven themselves even in JUCO, lower college, like keep them at their spot where they excel. So
no problem, Swervo. It's funny. It's just me though. I'm terrible though too. So.
Basically, if you excel, what Swervo is saying, if you excel at defensive coordinator, if you excel offensive coordinator, that's where you should pretty much stay.
Maybe, yeah.
However, there's been instances where, and this is why the league does what it does. This is why guys get head coaching gigs, is because, we'll just take, right now we're talking about the Buccaneers. Byron Leftwich was due to maybe get a job this offseason. It didn't happen as a head coach. But this is where your head coaches come from. They come from being a D coordinator or an offensive coordinator usually, and then they get promoted to be a head coach elsewhere. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you find great head coaches like Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was a defensive coordinator for most of his career and then got an opportunity, took an interview with the Raiders and took an interview with the Patriots. He decided to go with the Patriots because Al Davis was cheap, didn't want to pay his coaches. And so he decided to go to the Patriots, and boom. Not only is he a great defensive mind, but he turned out to be one of the greatest head coaches of our time.
And it could be even just fit, though, too, because you remember Bill Belichick did coach for the Browns at one point, too. and didn't do very well.
No, but you know what? They didn't give him enough time. So, and that's the
that's
thing,
what I'm saying.
Is he didn't have time to build that team the way he wanted. So that being said, we got to get back to the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
we have to finish our little thing here.
Listen, what he says, he goes, okay, last chance. You as a BF. I said, well, I can't even read these. You just read them.
You want me to read
Yeah,
them?
yeah. I don't even know what it
Okay,
is.
last chance.
All
He
right.
was a BFF.
As example. But Buddy Stevens was good. I think he
Was a good coach.
minds the side antics was a bad. It's not you. It's spelled. Yeah, it's like
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you. It's me. I wasn't sure if you were asking what if we were BFFs or something like that, and then you're talking about some other coach. I don't know, but yeah, we were talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So
we
let's
did
get back
bring up.
to it.
Let's get back to it then. All right, let's bring it back
let's
up. Here. We
finish
had
it up.
the question floating out there forever, but it says,
We
"Will
talked-
the defense
we-
take a hit
we-
from Bowles
Right, we
as head
touched-
coach?"
we
Which
touched-
we did.
Yep, we talked about the coaches and everything, and the D coordinator and all that.
But all in all, though, too, when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, though, the easy question that is poised out there, like I said, it's even on NFL.com and stuff like that. Are they poised to win another Super Bowl with Tom Brady? That's why he came back, this and this. I think they've got to be in the talks again, just because look how far they even made it last year, and just came up a bit short. But look at the talent that if you look at the people they've lost, they've lost Ali Marpet, things like that. They don't have Jason Pierre-Paul, they don't have Ndamukong Suh on there, but they've plugged other players back in there. And they even got Logan Ryan in the safety situation too, as well in the back. So if all those corners and safeties can stay healthy this year, though, too, because we had a lot of guys banged
Injured.
up last year,
Their
that was a little
secondary
bit
was
of an
gone.
injury, problem back there. So if they stay healthy, that's a whole different animal too, as well.
Absolutely, and there was more change. Jason Pierre-Paul's not back again. They drafted a guy by the name of Logan Hall, who they're hoping that can develop and become that stud D end where Pierre-Paul once was. So some changes have occurred. They've addressed those holes on the roster, but are they the right guys for those spots? And that's going to be something to watch for. Offensive line, you got two different guards. On defense, you have a new D end. You have the guys returning for the secondaries. Hopefully they can stay healthy. If everybody stays healthy, not to mention they also signed Akeem Hicks to replace Ndamukong Suh. So they don't lose anything there.
Right.
They still get a guy that can dominate on the inside. And what it comes down to is chemistry. Tom Brady in the offense is going to have it. Offensive line, we'll have to wait and see because you got two different guards coming in. I feel like they're going to not only be, added, slid right into those positions, but they're also going to be able to create that chemistry quicker than, say, a wide receiver to a quarterback. I think they'll be fine offensively. I think defensively is where more changes occurred and where we have to wait and see if they're going to be as dangerous as they were because I'll tell you this right now. Pierre-Paul at his age with the Buccaneers and his production was off the charts. Not only did he create a lot of pressure against offenses, but also had a nice sack total, at the end of the year. So,
well, it's great to be paired with what you had even on that defense as well. Because if he didn't get out of New York and go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, his career already would have been over with.
yeah, because the defensive scheme changed, and that's why they moved on from him because he wasn't going to fit. So, all in all, I mean, you can't discredit the Buccaneers.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, they went through some changes. Let's see if that's going to affect them at all.
Like you said, with some of the other teams that are getting better too as well, they really compete with this conference.
I'll tell you right now,
they're not as afraid of Tom Brady. I think right now with what's going on.
As we've talked about this division and everything, I really do feel that as long as both teams stay healthy, I think the real contest is going to be between the Saints and the Buccaneers for this division.
It would be
Carolina is a dark horse, obviously, but when you compare those teams, I feel like they're the two strongest.
And he says, Swervo says, he goes, that show, Last Chance U. That's what it's supposed to be because your phone won't do the check for the whole U. So Last Chance U, the coach, Buddy Stevens, yes. I didn't watch all of that show. I watched maybe half of the first season, but I do know what you're talking about, though, too. To be good at what they do and stay at that level, and they could be super productive. Like they have him there for a reason. Grab some of those guys that have been troubled guys, not get the most motivation out of them, get things going, get something out of them so that maybe they can become something. We got to see even one of those quarterbacks, the guy that I think used to play with the Florida State Seminoles, then he went to Last Chance U to try and fix his situation, whatever. He just played on one of the NAL teams that just played the Empire 3 weeks ago or so. Played terribly still, though. Yeah. But there you go. Now he's moved on into the NAL, still trying to make a career out of things,
right?
And do something with it. And that's an interesting, too. And that's what I like about the NAL, too, is you get to see some of these guys that didn't get a chance.
Right, all the different formats for football is great to continue their careers. It's rare that they're going to get called up to the NFL.
Right.
But it happens. Not saying it'll never happen, but I feel like at least they get to do something they love and get paid, a few bucks to do it, so.
Yeah, and for that show, I mean, how many of our friends have seen that show, know the guy, and then when they hear about something that he's done, they're trying to make like a different team, like say make an NAL team. Oh, look, he made that team. Dude, I love that guy when he was on that show. I was rooting for that guy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I just wanted to see him do well.
Yep.
We know our man Jeremiah Spicer here, who's moved on to different teams too, with the lower leagues and stuff, trying to get it going. Tried out for the Chargers and things like that. And we're pulling for him and everything that he does, and he continues to fight and grind.
I tell you right now, one of the toughest fighters that I've seen fighting for his dream every second of the day. Guy works out consistently and hard and is always pushing himself to be even better than yesterday, So he's still pushing for his dreams, still trying to make it happen, and it's a testament, to never giving up.
And like he's saying here, he's like put someone like him and run people that want to win, always want to practice, and like I'm telling you, you feel like it would go well, like that he expects, is the best, and the NFL gives the best. That's why I think some of these other guys, these head coaches that are popular right now, from Georgia and things like that, that they get the fire behind them. They're like, oh, this guy would be great right now, possibly. Yeah. But those guys is almost like what you're saying, though, Swervo. They're getting paid well there to be a coach,
really well.
Coach in the college ranks.
And
they had the run of the show. You want to talk about Parcells being able to shop for the groceries and still cook the dinner and everything. Right. They get to do it all. Look at Nick Saban. Look at what they're doing back and forth, and arguing with each other. Oh, this guy's trying to pay players to do this and blah blah blah. No, I'm not. Oh yeah, and this. You know what I mean? It is a competitive business down there, and they get paid really well. And why? Get off of that right now. Why try and move on to somewhere I might fail and stuff like that? I'm the king of the crop right now.
Nick Saban has done it before and has said that the NFL is one of the hardest things he's ever had to do. He failed miserably his first year.
We just saw Urban Meyer do well.
And it's
terrible too.
And it's so different than college. So if you can lure these big names or these big guys, listen, they're getting paid more at times. These college coaches are getting paid more than they would in the NFL. So why would they leave? Because just like Jim said, they have control of everything. They really do. In college, you get to recruit your players. You don't have a draft where I only have 7 picks, so I can only pick 7 guys. In college, you can recruit as many as you want and as talented as you want. You know what I mean? So there's a bigger crop to kind of go and bring in players in college versus like the NFL where you're limited at every level. So, why would you leave that? I mean, to be completely honest, if I'm one of the better college football coaches and I'm making $20 million a year, I'm not leaving. Not only do I get to recruit players, which is extremely fun to do, I get to recruit as many as I want. Like, hey, I'm a winning coach. Come play for me. All right. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Sometimes it's easy for certain coaches than others, but again, you get to recruit as much talent as you can.
And I think with that, too, it's got to be, at least for me, when I'm coming from that point of view. By the way, Stephen Bogucki's in the house with us tonight.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Head coach, at that point, kid out of high school, wants that dream still to become next level, NFL quarterback possibly or NFL player, has that drive, then he's younger, young mind, I can mold him into something great, this and this. If you jump into the NFL, you've already got veteran players, you've got some younger ones, guys that think they've made it already. Things, it's harder to get some of those guys, I think, that have that drive. Look at like what the questions that they're having with like a Mekhi Becton. You know what I mean? You jump onto somebody like that, you want to try and be like, hey, we get on this, get on this, get on this. He's kind of like, man, whatever, man. I don't got to listen to you. You know what I mean? That's not where you're getting, I think, with some of these high school kids that are just joining the, into the college ranks. You know what I'm saying? I think you get that opportunity to mold those minds and mold their talent to the best of the talent that they can be, and you're not getting any kind of pushback at all.
Well, no, because they're so young.
Right. And I mean, I think that's just a better fit.
Yeah, but the money talks.
I hear you too. I mean, that's why some of them do jump to the NFL. If you get paid like even a buttload more, and you're going to try it, right? And Swervo says, here we go. They came in, walked around the players, put them in their place, and let them know because you're getting paid. Shut up and do what I say. Yeah. Yes. Oh man.
If you're an established coach, you can do that.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
If you're Bill Belichick, you can do it.
Yeah. And he does it with less words.
If you're Mike McDaniels, it's your first day on the job. They're not going to listen to you.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I've heard from Feliciano here for the Giants talking about Brian Dable. He comes in, kind of has that thing, hey, guys, do this, blah, blah, blah. But he's still joking around a little bit, but he's still kind of to the point. But he's been in his system before under him with a coach there. He's telling the other players, he's legit. He's like this all the time. He ain't just giving you some kind of talk because he's with a new team. This is how he talked to us and everybody over there too as well.
But his resume speaks for itself. But that's what I'm talking about with an established coach. Even if it's an established coordinator coming in to be your head coach, you're going to listen to him because I just witnessed what he did in Buffalo. Players pay attention too throughout the league. It's not like they're in their little bubble with the Jets or with the Bills or something like that, and they're like they don't pay attention to anybody else. They pay attention. So if they're seeing, this new offensive coordinator that the Chargers just hired, man, he's doing some great things out there, and then all of a sudden that guy gets a head coaching job. I don't know, we'll just say with the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel snorted coke and then got fired, and then here comes this guy, and then he makes the offense great again. So those type of things happen, and players do notice those things that happen throughout the league.
Here he goes. Here, you want to read this one? It's Swervo again.
He goes, so make them listen. They think it's a joke. Was it?
Make it seem like head coach because no one would say crap.
I can't read your comments
to their
anymore.
head coach.
It's all over.
High school head coach. Meet them for the first time, and everyone shut up. They got to stop thinking. I don't know. Yeah, but I know what you're saying, Swervo. Kind of, you know what I mean?
I don't.
I'm
confused.
It's just. Yeah, but they got to stay. I think if you're going to be the college coach, stay with them. Like we said, you get to do everything that you can. You work with get the players that you want. Be in their living rooms. And mold them the way you want. But
versus
again, if the NFL does call you up, you're going to give it a shot.
It's a different game altogether.
All right, he says because I get paid and I get to do what I want. I hate that, like how entitled they think they are. You get paid, act like it. Yeah, some of them do, but everybody's different. You got to think of where people come from too, Swervo. I mean, like an NFL player, there isn't one specific type of cookie cutter NFL player. Some of them come from poor families. Some of them come from a richer family. Look at Johnny Manziel. But Johnny Manziel had a lot of different talent, but from a rich family, really doesn't have to worry about getting money. His NFL contract, and talk about, hey, I'm getting paid. Act like he could care less. He had money everywhere else, and he was just partying. He's like, dude, I don't care. And I made it now. I don't need to practice as much.
With that upbringing, you got to wonder how and people were criticizing how he carried himself and how he had such a nonchalant attitude and the I don't care attitude. I'll do what I want type of thing. And if that led to the way he was brought up, going into football and getting as far as he did, you got to wonder, because he didn't really have to work that much harder to get there, or I mean, did that create his path to the point where, like, he, with his carefree attitude, he just didn't think, he thought he was already good enough, and he didn't push himself further when he should have. Maybe he would have still been in the NFL if he did. Maybe not, but we'll never know, because he never had to really grind and work extremely hard, like some of these other players that come from, a poor situation, or been through a rough patch in their life and kind of fight extra hard and have to keep working every single day to get where they get to go. So
right. Yeah, everybody comes from a different spot. Look at guys like Josh Rosen, who said that when he got picked where he was, there's other teams that made mistakes.
I'm amazing.
I'm going to work now hard and show these guys, and look, he hasn't done anything.
Bow down to me.
And so, I mean, again, it's a lot of different things. Even though if you think you're working hard to do it, maybe you just don't got it, though, too. So, I mean, it's all over the place. A lot of different things you can have. So that's the show, everybody. I'm glad everybody that joined in with us. Swervo, it's been a long time. Stephen McGucky, I know you got here late, but, don't forget, you can also rewatch us here on YouTube and on Facebook. And also, we're on Spotify. Since you've been on with us last, I don't know if you knew, but we are on everywhere you can find podcasts, Google Podcasts, things like that. You can find Football on the No Show there, too. So you can just listen along, too. So if you're on the run, that's what it's all about. And don't forget, I'm just going to run the promo real quick again. SeatGeek, we're brought to you by SeatGeek as well, too. So put the promo code GOZ, G-O-Z, when you're ready to check out. $20 off a $50 purchase or more for whenever you want to get your concert tickets. Don't forget NFL tickets, too, as well. Any live event, check it out. SeatGeek.com, promo code GOZ, G-O-Z. And that's brought to you by us, Football on the No. And he says that's the point. Like LeBron James was poor and hungry, and he tried to quit in high school, but someone didn't let him because they knew he couldn't give it up. If Johnny Manziel, I think it's supposed to be, tried to give up, no one would have cared.
Who's LeBron James?
LeBron James.
Who is that?
I know. We're in an NFL show. I get it, but
never heard of her.
Oh, I know. Yeah. All right, excellent. So that's it. That's our show for tonight. We will see you guys next week. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the No with Jim and Joe.